Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Masks of Nyarlathotep in our China chapter. As we like to do at the top of the show, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. Thank you, so many of you new folks joining us. We appreciate that. If you haven't had a chance to check out what we do, you can at patreon.com/theoldwayspodcast. And now we're going to have a round of rousing introductions. To my right.
This is Tiffany, and I play Maeve O'Shea, and I've had some work done.
Yes, you've had some work done around the eyes. We'll just put it that way. To Miss O'Shea's right.
This is Morgan. I play Lillian Lane, and we're going on a boat. Maybe. At the end of the table.
This is Jake. I'm playing Jack Doyle, and I think it's time for some piracy.
When isn't time for piracy, really? To Jake's right.
This is Lonnie, and I'm playing Robert Drummond, and I invite chat to put their favorite sea shanty in the comments below.
Fantastic. To Mr. Drummond's right.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Dr. Sigmund Tattenbach, and I believe I'm having too many holes in me to go in the water currently.
Yeah, you might take on a little water at this point, but I'm sure that they'll get you patched up before you walk out the door. Last but most certainly not least.
This is Alex playing Saint Laurent, who is going for the boat shenanigans hat trick by location at this time.
That's true. This would be a hat trick for you. Before any hat tricking is possible, though, we are going to have a luck refresh. So we'll just spin right back around, and Miss O'Shea, give us a luck roll.
That is 79 out of 51.
Very good. So you can have 18 points of luck.
It's real nice.
It is nice. Miss Lane?
You got a 66 out of 38.
Okay. You can have 19 points of luck.
That's nice, too.
Jack?
That is 45 out of 45.
Okay. Technically, it's a success,
Right.
which means you would normally get one, but obviously you get an extra D10 for your pulp talent. And so I will hand you 19 points of luck.
Hey.
Mr. Drummond.
That is a 65 out of 48.
Okay. Lots of failures around the table tonight. Not unsurprising. Mr. Drummond, you can take 14 points of luck.
Ooh.
Doctor?
I have a 48 under 59 currently.
Just a single D10, but you still net 13 points of luck.
Fantastic.
How did the doctor all of a sudden be the highest luck?
Because he didn't burn all the luck we did last time.
No, because he was busy shot and laying on the floor.
Right.
Oh, that's right.
And then Sam, if you would, please.
I got a 93 over 78. It's a big fat fail for me, buddy.
It is. And that's 18 points of luck for you. We raised the curtain tonight in a basement hideout where many of our investigators are still active and awake because they're concerned they're going to have to go after the Dark Mistress. So we are in the missing Stasi formation this evening. Stasi is currently resting in a room next door, and she is recovering from having been effectively swallowed whole by a nasty mythos creature. She will rejoin us at some point in the future. So, I leave it to the group here. You have been told that the Dark Mistress is moored somewhere off of the Bund. What's the plan?
Well, without enough time to study, I'm definitely just going to focus on adding some more smoke bombs and fire canisters to my arsenal.
I'm gonna put on my robes, with the big hood to obscure most of my face. I mean, it won't matter once we're when I want to scare people, but...
Speaking
Sure.
of hoods, there was also the robes that were taken from the cubby in the house that can be
Yes.
made available to people. I will hold on to one because blending is a thing I like to do. How many are there of the robes?
I think there were 3.
I'll hold on to one, and I will pass the others to Jack to distribute as he sees fit. So I don't know what the plan's going to be yet. But
So just looking over these robes, these sort of remind you a little bit as far as the quality level. They remind you a little bit of the robes that you saw in England. So these aren't at all fashioned the same way as far as the regalia or the symbols that are on them. These have characters that run down the side of them that are likely local, but the quality level of the silk is roughly the same.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
They get all their supplies from the same distributor.
well, you know how it is.
Yeah, so we'll hang on to them until we get to the island because, we're not going to use them yet.
Do they have nifty pockets in them too, like mine do?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
And what color were they again?
They're yellow and black.
Well, might be, Jack, they might be serviceable in the meantime to wrap any and all weaponry that we have that might glint in the moonlight,
what else was in the... Because I had kind of shoveled a bunch of material from the... I don't want to call it the torture table, but there was that table of implements plus the cabinet. So what all was in there? We never really went over... We kind of touched on it. We kind of glossed over it. So I didn't know if there was anything fun.
I mean, there were books in there. There were robes in there. There was needles, ink. That looks like it's probably used for either writing or maybe for tattooing. I would say that you might get the idea that it's for tattooing because you've likely seen that sort of tattooing in some of the places that you have been. The needles and the types seem to line up in that regard. And then there are various powders. It looks like the powders might be used as a concentrate to make more of the ink.
Okay. And the fire had burned the all the horticultural stuff away.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're planning on going tonight? Is that what the Jack Brady had said?
Yeah. Isn't that what he said? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Yeah, Brady said that if you were going to go after the Dark Mistress, then tonight would be the night.
Okay, so I guess we should get some rest if we can.
Is Jack Brady coming with us?
Jack Brady is going to be traveling with New China.
Oh, that's right.
Did Brady say he knew exactly where it was moored?
He said that he knew roughly where it was moored, yeah.
Well, I think the doctor knows where it was moored.
The doctor and I have both
yeah.
been there.
Oh, have you?
Mhm.
Okay.
As long as it's moored in the same place. I don't know.
I would like to make a brief trip while they're getting things ready.
Okay.
I would like to go acquire some seaman's clothes in various sizes.
Okay.
And this is not a local boat, from what I gather.
Hard to say. You haven't put eyes on her yet.
Didn't they have a picture of it?
Yeah. Yeah. So you do have a picture of a boat you believe is the Dark Mistress, as far as what the Miss Lane and the doctor learned at the harbor house.
But it's an actual ocean-going boat, not a junk or a...
It looks like it's ocean going, yeah.
Then, yeah, I would get a more polyglot, universal kind of outfit.
Okay.
I'll get 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, probably fairly easy to locate,
Yeah.
given the proximity. You need to go to somebody who deals in textiles and clothing and buy some stuff that people would wear.
Yep.
When you're out, Robert, I'd like you to make me a luck roll.
That's a 48 under 62.
Okay. So you're not impeded by any of the, we'll just say, less than desirable people who are out causing trouble.
Right.
So your foray into the city is sort of a prelude of things to be seen later, which are students marching, tradespeople marching, windows being smashed, some really, really nasty stuff, up to and including members of the Green Gang backed up by basically government forces who are trying to push back against what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
This city is becoming a boiling pot of water.
Yeah.
But you get the clothes and you're able to get back a few hours later. Those of you who choose to can rest up, regain MP if you want, and then work to regain some hit points.
Yeah. I also want to write that letter to Erica Carlisle and give it to somebody, Moo or somebody, to mail for me.
Yeah. I mean, Moo would probably put it in the hands of a trusted courier. He's not the sort of person that's going to mail your letters.
No, but he has a better idea.
Yeah. He can tell you can get out of the city for sure.
Yeah.
So we know the ship is owned by Penhew, right? But is Penhew also the captain, or is there a captain of the ship?
I doubt he's a captain. He's probably got somebody working for him as a captain.
The doctor and Lillian had gone to check the manifest, right? Is the captain's information at all included with the docking information, or?
I don't think, and James, you can absolutely correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we get to read the manifest. They told us who the ship was, or what the ship name was,
and who it was
and who
owned
owned
by.
it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Which brings me to a point, Jack. How are we going to get to the ship? It may not be far, but at current city conditions, one does not simply walk across town for this. We unfortunately, there's a certain amount of risk that we will have been incurring,
That is true. However, we at least will be armed and in a group.
So are they.
Yeah, but in general, people who are riding try to stay away from somebody accosting other people with guns.
No, it's true, yeah. I'm merely pointing out the advocate of the devil, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean, we have to get across town, and we have to go through, if we have to go through some riders, we have to go through some riders. Nothing we can do about it. I'm not stealing another car just to go across town.
Well, I will present the clothing that I do pick up and say, this might go easier if some of us dress for the part. Because you can't exactly sneak on the boat unless you want to go from the water side. And even then, that's difficult. It's simply too crowded.
Well, that raises the question, are we planning on stealing the ship out from underneath the crew's noses, or are we planning on dispatching them and replacing them?
Well, I mean, we don't really know anything about where the crew is. Is the crew on the ship? Is the crew somewhere else? I'm assuming that if we go to that ship and the crew are there, we're going to have to dispatch them. They're probably all cultists.
There's basically two or three choices. Either the crew has dispersed because of the general situation or not being safe, or they're all on the boat because at least when you're on the boat, you can get away quickly. Or they could be on the boat because they're waiting orders.
Well, so let's assume the worst case scenario. The crew and the captain are all there.
Then we're probably going to have to put them down. There'll be a firefight again.
So do we want to do this openly, or do we want to try to get on board and clean up as much as we can before things go to hell?
I mean, ideally, that would be the way to go, I think.
Okay.
I'd rather do that than just all of us roll up on the boat and start firing guns off.
I don't have a gun.
I think I still have the gun from that fellow that got decapitated in the warehouse, if you need one.
I don't do guns.
Doc hangs his head a little bit at the fact that Sam had to differentiate which gun by what kind of murder happened when they got it.
Yeah, the moral implications are a little tedious sometimes, Doctor. It's difficult sometimes to parse them all out. You're still striving for that. We're doing the right thing because in the end, the world needs us to do the right thing and make the hard choices. But every once in a while, it gets a little tougher to stomach.
I'm going to restock up on ammo for my rifle and one of the curved blades that I stole off of one of the guys that I killed at the bar.
Just keep in mind that whatever you take will have to be at least explainable as far as visually. Like you can only, if having carried multiple long guns at a time, they're A, heavy, B, unwieldy,
It's true,
and you
and
don't have anything you don't have a bandolier to strap them to. All right. So, Jack, what are you bringing with you?
I'm going to bring my sidearm, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm going to bring the Thompson.
Okay.
I'll bring one of the shotguns.
Okay. Any change up in your equipment list, Mr. Drummond?
No, I still just got the pistol.
Okay. Miss O'Shea, I assume your thigh is strapped with a large bladed weapon.
Yeah, and then I have the scepters too because I'm wearing the robes.
Yep.
And slander.
You're wearing the black robes, right?
Yes.
So Doc is probably bringing his medical bag.
Yep, medic bag and very little else.
I wonder if we should go back to the hotel, bring all our stuff there, pack everything up, and then get ready to go.
Are we bringing our suitcases with us on the Dark Mistress?
No, I think we can come back to Shanghai.
Moon
Maybe.
tells you that your stuff will be safe here in the hideout.
Well,
New China may choose to move where it is, but I'm staying here until this business is done.
I say we do that. It'd be probably easier for us to get back here and
Yeah, that's
sneak
true.
out than
After everyone leaves, I will be erecting some wards.
I would just count my books before you bring them here.
Last I understood, the ship is not docked, right? It's moored out a bit.
So we're going to need a boat at least.
Small craft is easy to get.
Do we know how far out it is?
If it's anything like the picture, it's moored out beyond some of the shipping lanes, like the direct Bund traffic lanes. So it would mean getting to a point on the Bund where you could get out into the sea itself and then finding it from there.
Doc looks a little green at the prospect.
Yes. As some of you know, the doctor is not a huge fan of water.
Well, if we're planning on being quiet, we should probably get something small, like a rowboat, at least. Or two.
After dark falls, and we'll head out.
So give me an idea, Jack. You are at a position just north of the recreational ground in this little hideout spot, we'll say. My question is, what part of the Bund are you going to begin your look at? You would have the information about where the harbor master house is.
Mm-hmm.
So you would know that that's where they got the information at. And you know from the photo that the Dark Mistress, the last time she was seen, at least in the photograph.
Well, I believe that the doctor and Lillian actually took a little walk and found the Dark Mistress.
Well, they saw her moored, yes.
Right.
Okay.
But at the time when that's where it was across the Bund in the time of the photograph. The Bund wraps around at. Interestingly enough, and James, you would know this. Actually, you would all know it. Not too far away from where the Mistress was moored was Ho Fang's warehouse.
Oh, nice.
It's not there anymore.
No, it's not.
So, Mike, you said that there was a couple hours, and is Jack poring over the map of the local area the whole time
Probably.
and trying to figure out, him and Sam attempting to figure out, well, it's not here, and we know it's not here, so it's got to be somewhere in this. Okay. Doc's going to take a nap.
Okay. You're going to take a nap.
Doc is curious as to see if he could perhaps do aerial reconnaissance.
Oh, interesting. So are you going to take the normal countdown method and we'll just say additive method to getting there?
Not this time, because he doesn't want to be foggy-headed later should he need to administer actual medicine to somebody. That's where mistakes come in. So this time he's going to attempt more of a self-induced trance state.
Okay. Why don't you give me a power roll and see if you can put yourself into a meditative state. We'll say it's a hard power roll.
Well, with my pulp ability, I got a 20 under 65, which is a hard success.
Right, because you have iron will. All right, very good. So you slowly begin to bring yourself down into a level where you feel that portion of your existence bleed out from inside of your body to the ether around you. You sort of exhale your mental state through your pores in a very quick and final breath. And then you see your body laying on a bed. And you're staring at this translucent copy of yourself that's standing.
Excellent. This will not last long. All right. Well, Doc is going to envision the ship that he saw in the photograph.
Okay.
And being near it.
So, yeah, roll 1d6 for me.
I rolled a 2.
All right, spend 2 MP. You get a little closer. Your body moves at an incredible rate, and you are walking on the bund. And this is very telling. You start seeing these, I guess silhouettes is the best term. These red and orange silhouettes that are walking on the bund. And they're walking in stacked groups. They're like, imagine a stack of matches walking on end, one after another.
He's literally walking among the fiery passions of the city currently.
I mean, that's one way to put it.
At least what it looks like. The anger. He carefully avoids touching any of those.
That's understandable. You can see the sort of the tops of each one of these silhouettes seem to occasionally burst and burble with life, with almost a flecks of energy that seep and sparkle off of them. You get a real sense that there's a danger here, a present danger.
An immediate sense of harm to myself if I'm not careful.
Yes, absolutely.
Then Doc is very careful and tries to avoid large groups of the torch heads.
Fair enough. You are walking for some time amongst them with the water on your right. You can almost see in the water there are, I guess, flecks, yellow and brown flecks in the water that dance back and forth, big ones. There's something churning there in the water, and it's big. I mean, it's very, very big. It takes up a large portion of the space under the water. It creates waves as you walk further down towards the Harbormaster house. And in the distance, you see a big blackened spot on the bund with enormous black energy reaping off of it.
Doc heads that direction cautiously, keeping on constant guard for wild metaphors, dangerous analogies.
Yeah, so the other thing that you see interdict and intersect some of these red silhouettes are waves of green energy that flow down the streets and begin to intersect and interrupt them, block them. And these are when the red silhouettes sort of burst with that orange and even white energy. There's a dance being played here, but you don't know the steps.
As Doc transverses these areas, avoiding the largest and brightest areas, he takes semi-note of the path that he's taking, the path of least resistance, so to speak, in case it's a useful path later on.
Okay. You get closer to this roiling black, it almost looks like a crater. And you put 2 and 2 together and make 4 and realize that this is the warehouse that burned. And you can see inside the warehouse twisted figures. Some small, some large, that seem to creep in and out of the ash pile that's been left over.
Doc is careful to avoid being inside the crater. He gives it a wide berth, but takes note of the small undulating creatures.
Yeah, these look like things to be avoided. You can see they're clawing through the remnants of the ash pile here, and they seem to be ingesting handfuls of this obsidian-colored ash. And you can see them that their forms are translucent enough that you can see the ash go into their mouth and into their stomach. And their stomachs over time seem to be bloating with this ash until it bottoms out and distends their bellies.
Ugh, ash eaters.
Go ahead and roll another d6 for me.
4.
All right, spend 4 more MP.
Okie dokie.
You find yourself at a section of the bund you are not familiar with. It seems to be much further east than you have been. You see a lot of the geographic style has changed a little bit. You're still very much within the city format, and there are still those red silhouettes marching along here, but they're doing it in a little bit different of a direction. They seem to be heading away from where you're going. And you can see that there's a somewhat unique angular shape to everything around here. It has a different order than the flowing nature of the place that you were. And then just along the water here, there's a long pier, and it sort of stretches out, and you see a black shape along the water. It is a beautiful and hauntingly elegant feminine shape. The shape has its back lying on the water's edge with basically 2 very thick thighs that are positioned up with the rest of its legs in the air. And then their arms have come into the side to support the rest of the body, its abdomen. And there, sitting at the heart of it, is this beautiful green pumping heart. And you can see the valves and the aortas. You can see these things churn back and forth and give this shape life. And along its frame, there are beings that walk its curves. And they seem to be tending to it.
Okay, Doc makes very close note of where we are at and what the surrounding area looks like. Understanding, of course, that the parallel lands here are a little muddier than the real world.
Yeah, that is definitely true here. But you do get a sense that this ship is much further north and much further east than you have scouted before. If it was at one point moored near the warehouse, it's likely that the fire at the warehouse has caused them to retract to maybe a secondary warehouse that Hofang might have.
A secondary, quote-unquote, safer location. Wonderful. Okay, well, then Doc takes up route and after staying for just a second longer to appreciate the graceful curves of this woman here on the water, he climbs back into the realms of heavy, angular, painful consciousness.
Very good. Spend a point of sanity.
I will.
You come back to the sharp and all too thick existence, which is reality. You have a nosebleed. It's not the greatest time to have one. It seems to have been going on for some time.
Doc stands from the bed and goes out to where Jack and Maeve and everyone are getting ready, still wiping the blood from his face and checking his ears to make sure that they were not also bleeding.
No, they're not bleeding, but you get definitely slammed to the left as far as your inner ear balance goes. And your eyes try to roll back in your head, and you force them to stay open.
He sideways stumbles like he is slightly drunk to a nearby piece of furniture. Heaves himself into it.
Doc, are you okay?
It was a productive nap. He takes the handkerchief, the now spotted handkerchief, away from his face. Can you bring me the map, Jack?
Sure.
And a pencil.
All right.
He takes the map and looks it over and figures out about where he assumes, give or take Dreamland's squashiness, where he believes the ship to be anchored, or a second Hofang warehouse to be.
Okay. Yeah, so when he points out on the map, it seems to be much further north and much further east than you are prepared, or yet you would think that it would be. It seems to be in this strange industrial section of the map where it's near the American, in the American area.
I believe he has a second warehouse, Jack. And I believe you will find the ship here.
How would you know that, Doctor?
She is beautiful, Jack. I will explain everything at some point, but I think now perhaps time is pressing, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's safe to say that I believe you must just trust me this time, Jack.
You know what? I will.
Wunderbar.
So, looking at the map, what is between here and there?
A whole lot of city. Basically, every major on foot, every or cart, every major thoroughfare from here to there is likely going to be some of the most populated parts of the city.
Was that a little river there?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if there's a boat there.
It's possible you might be able to get on a smaller boat to get out here. It would be acquiring that boat, right? Likely not impossible by any means, but when you get out into the river proper, the traffic's going to pick up.
Right.
So, what's the group doing?
Well, now that the doctor's kind of indicated where he believes the thing is, do we know how far out it is now?
It sounded like, from what the doctor said, it was at port.
Oh, well, that changes things.
I tell you, it did not seem like it was far out in the water. It seemed like it was right up on land.
Okay.
Also, so you know, she is well tended to.
You mean like a crew?
I assume, yeah.
Are you
Doc seems still a little out of it.
Are you still visiting that place, Doctor?
No, not this time. Although, to answer your question, yes.
Okay. Be careful.
No, but yes.
Seems like an easy place to get lost.
There is kind of an alternate way that's not the main thoroughfare. If you want to go that way. The only dangerous part is it runs past the hospital. Or we can go a little bit north to the next semi-major road, which isn't really all that major. And that'll bring us down just a bit east of the American consulate.
I am going to defer to you since you know the city better than we do.
Yeah, I think it's best we run up to Boone Road and go that way. It'll be less traveled. And then that angles down towards the wharf and comes out right around the Japanese consulate. A bit east of where it's supposed to be moored.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'm sure there'll be any number of small craft there for people who want to take a little ride out on the river.
Okay. That's the plan then?
That's the plan.
Okay. You're all prepared. So you begin working your way through the streets. As before, I'll have you make a group luck roll. So the investigator with the lowest luck.
I got a 57. What do you have, Doc?
I got like a 70 something.
It is me. All right.
All right, Miss Lane.
I'm here.
And for his part, Doc will occasionally offer a no, do not probably goes that way, yeah? This way. But doesn't really explain why.
I got a 49 out of 57.
Very good. You pick your way through the first leg of this, Miss Lane. So I will move our investigators a little closer. Let them know where they're at. You make it all the way to here. It seems anyway, you're about halfway as far as you're a judge of map.
Yeah.
And I'd like you all to make spot hidden rolls.
38 out of 55.
13 out of 99.
12 out of 75.
66 out of 88.
Get a hard success, 38 under 85.
48 under 80.
Okay. So everyone succeeds to some varying degree. So for the folks who succeeded, just a success, you get a pretty obvious view of a city at a boiling point. All of you now are seeing the toll that this sort of revolution is beginning to take. Those of you who got a hard success, notice that many of the people who the city might consider agitators are labor workers. They're students. And they're not just in the streets with rocks and sticks. Some of these students are armed. Those of you who got an extreme success, notice a couple of additional things. One, the forces who are going against some of these small skirmishes that are beginning to happen are definitely government forces, but they're being backed up very much by men who carry those type of butchering weapons. The other thing that you notice is that there is a higher than you would expect female population here amongst the people who are striking or are protesting. And they are, I would just say, well armed. They're not using those arms as of yet, but they're there.
Okay.
And now, another luck roll for Miss Lane.
Doc to Jack fairly quietly as they travel. We're on a raft in a volcano, my friend. Are you seeing this?
Yeah.
The 29 out of 57.
Okay. So you are going to get all the way to a position which would be useful to you. What you have pinned is along one of these piers here is where the boat sits. So you're a couple blocks away and you're able to get into sort of tucked into this alleyway mouth where you can stay out of the light and stay out of the lantern light that surrounds you and some of the additional nighttime frivolities that are happening. Keep in mind too, it isn't all protests. There's the regular business that is going on in Shanghai, and that includes parties. That includes actual business. And so all these things are happening at the same time. And that's what's sort of lending itself to a fairly chaotic environment.
So we settled then there's 4 of us going aboard immediately?
Yeah, I think so. We have the best chance of sneaking them aboard.
Okay. So again, who's going aboard?
I am, Lillian, Sam, and Drummond.
Yeah, it's just Doc and Locke at port.
Oh, boy, I'm telling you what.
I know, we never get in trouble.
Never. And you're never left to your own devices, which is great.
Do me a favor and let me see how bad it is before I wave you all on. Just for a moment.
You're going to do some pre-scouting?
Just a little. I mean, if I see a monster, they're going to see me running back, so...
All right, Sam. If you'd like to make me a stealth roll.
So there's a 51 under 95 success.
Okay. You creep forward. I guess the question is give me your approach.
Well, if it's a docked ship, it's a yacht, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Is there a ramp?
There is not.
Is it just there?
Yep.
Okay.
So it's sitting out probably about 20 or so feet from the edge of the dock itself. It's actually not even tied.
Oh, okay. Oh, so I guess we're going to have to go swimming. I don't know that I have a choice, right? I can't just jump it. And there's no way to just get on board.
I don't believe you can make a 20-foot broad jump.
No, not even on my best day. At least not until I have my magic Cthulhu boots. So I will slide into the water.
Oh boy. Alrighty.
And make my way to, I'm guessing, the anchor or some other, what is it called?
The ropes.
Yeah, the ropes.
So you're going to need to make a swim roll.
Mm-hmm. Haven't done that in China.
Nope, that's true.
Shit. Okay.
Whoa!
So apparently it's very cold in the waters of China, and I am not prepared. So in order to expedite my travel, I will leave my duffel on the dock. I'll just kind of pitch it back up from the water to give myself more mobility, as I will try to swim, once again, less encumbered. So I'm going to push the roll.
Sounds fantastic as a push.
And I'm drowning.
So that's a failed push roll.
Yep, sure is.
Failed push rolls are bad. I am going to spend a hand of fate and relieve you of the failure on this as a push roll. But that said, you're also going to have a slight, we'll just say, complication.
I love complications.
So no immediate drowning, exactly. You make your way out a little bit towards the boat. You get about 10 or so feet from the edge of the pier. And I'm assuming are you swimming above with your head above water or under?
I would be swimming under for as long as I could.
Okay. You're swimming under, and as you're making your way to the boat closer and closer, you feel something brush past your face, and it is hard and slick and scaly when it slides past your face, and it runs it all the way down your side and down your leg.
I buck and come up for air and kind of spin about a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Something in the water. I will spin about in place.
Mm-hmm.
Is it reaching for me? Like what the hell is down there? What am I seeing?
Don't see it. It's dark. It's in the water.
Okay. Well, I'm closer to the ship than I am to the dock. I hustle to the best of my ability.
So you begin to hustle. That's a swim roll.
Again. Come on.
Dark looks at Maeve. I probably should have mentioned to somebody that I think there's a lot of living things in the water.
So that's an extreme success, 9 under 45.
So I'm going to play a hand of fate against you.
Okay.
And all I'm going to do is give what's in the water an opportunity to grab at your leg.
Mm-hmm.
And so you go to swim and you begin to make some progress. You get 4 or 5 feet and you can feel your pulse now getting kicked up. And that same feeling comes around your ankle again and gives it a real swift yank back. I'd like a contested strength roll.
I love contested strength rolls. I really don't love contested strength rolls. Shit. That is a 97 under 55.
Yes. So we're going to engage in a little water horseplay, as they were.
Okay. I didn't order the calamari. Who ordered the calamari?
Something grabs onto you, and when it does, you get punched in the abdomen.
Oh.
Hard. You get punched for 2 damage.
Why?
So something punches you, and then as you are there sort of bucking and fighting in the water, it slightly surfaces, and you catch a glimpse of something altogether strange. You see at first a humanoid shape, but in the available light of the dock area, you can see the bulbous eyes, swollen and circular, the scaled face of something that perhaps at one point was human, but has morphed into something terrifying. And it makes a fish sound at you.
What does a fish sound like?
Right.
Should I roll sanity?
You should absolutely roll sanity, yes.
I would love to roll sanity. That is a 26 under 54. It's a hard success.
Fantastic. You'd lose no points of sanity. I guess for visual reference, Abe Sapien's probably a good comp. If Abe Sapien had like molted 5 times and had bloodshot eyes and looked like he wanted to make you a snack.
All right, so I'm in the water with a hostile.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I did leave my duffel on the dock, but know what I didn't leave on the dock?
What's that?
My machete.
Oh. Okay.
So now that this thing has revealed its face to me, I know where to stab it.
You do. Very good. I'm going to initiate a fighting brawl to attempt to stab at this thing.
Yes, I will pull the blade and I will swing from out of the water because I need leverage and some speed, and I'm going to try to chop it down its face.
I don't know if there are rules against in fighting in the water, but I would imagine what you're doing is very difficult. So I'm going to give you a disadvantage die.
Okay, because this isn't hard enough.
That's right.
Okay, so I got to roll that again, right?
Yep.
Let's hope this one's even better. Wow. Okay. So it's a 73 under 78. That is a success.
Very good. I think he'll fight back. No. That is a 94.
Nice.
So your fighting brawl succeeds. Go ahead and roll damage.
That's 7 damage. 7
Ooh.
to the face.
All right, you chop into him. You get sprayed by gray and black ichor.
Ugh.
All over your face and eyes. It's not enough to impede your vision, but it's, well, bodily fluid.
I'm guessing that the momentum is going to kind of take me forward and down a bit, so I'll use the opportunity to slam my face into the water and wiggle about a bit.
So the creature that has grabbed you...
Can we just call him Abe?
No, we can't call him Abe. You don't know him that well. Don't assume.
Oh, okay.
It is going to dive into the water. And it's going to attempt to drag you down with it.
Okay.
Because that sounds like fun. So that's a maneuver. That's a fighting brawl maneuver.
What are my options here?
So your options... First of all, it's a failure on his part, so you don't have to fight back or dodge. So basically, he goes to grab at your leg to pull you down and doesn't get enough of you, but he does continue his movement down or away.
Can I see the group from where I am?
No, you're a block away.
Okay. So if it's moving away, how far am I from the ship?
You're probably 10 to 15 feet away at this point.
Okay. I clamp down on the machete and I break for the ship.
Okay. You begin breaking for the ship.
Mm-hmm.
You swim a little ways, and I'll give you a spot hidden roll. Hard, given the light available.
It's a 76 under 85. It is just a success.
So barring any luck spending or re-rolling, you continue to move towards the ship. As you do, you get about another 10 feet or so, so you're about 5 feet from the side of the ship when an enormous form comes out of the water and climbs up the side of the ship.
The same thing?
Seems like it, yeah. And you can hear it in this raspy, guttural tone seem to speak. to something on the deck of the ship.
Okay, well, cover's blown. So I will do what it's already sounding the alarm. So I will have to sound my own.
Okay.
It climbs up the side of the ship. Am I able to get a handhold on it at least?
On it?
On the ship.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, there are ropes and lines and stuff like that are around the side of the ship, but this thing seems to be using some sort of superior strength or grip power that used to climb the side of the ship.
Oh, sure. I'm not assuming I'm going to catch it. I'm just trying to eliminate I'm in the damn water, total disadvantage, being at this thing's mercy because it's clearly a superior swimmer to me.
Sure.
So that I can brace myself against it. And if it's yelling, the alarm's already sounded. So I will extract my whistle from my pocket and I will blow it.
All right. You blow on a whistle. I would like a hard listen roll from the rest of the party to see if they hear you blowing.
I don't hear a damn thing.
That doesn't shock me.
91 out of 60.
19 under 75, that is a hard success.
Thank you, Doctor.
48 out of 20.
Got a 29 out of 79.
All right. So Doc and Lillian hear a very high-pitched whistle. It doesn't mean as much as to Doc as it does to Lillian because she has heard the whistle before.
Do you hear that?
I perk up. I do. I perk up. It's time to go.
That's the signal.
That's the signal.
Okay. We go.
And you do. And so do we. Into next week. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Masks of Nyarlathotep. It seems that there is another adventure ahead. Thank you for your listening ears, and we'll see you next week.